Today I'd like to share with you a video of how I like to use a drop shot rod, and hopefully you can get some tips from it so that way it can help you put more fish in the boat. What I like to use for equipment for a drop shotting is a 7-foot medium power extra fast tip rod. The extra fast tip kind of helps me feel the weight as I pull it across the bottom or give it a little tugs out of the weeds. You have to use a medium or medium power so that way I got enough backbone yet so that way I can drive that offset hook into the top of the fish's mouth. Now I usually use 8 or 10 pound fluorocarbon line. I like the way that it sinks. I like the way that its sensitivity, and fish not being able to see it sure seems to help also. Also for the hooks, I've gone lately to the VMC spin shot hook. Usually use size 1/0 for 4 and 5 inch baits, and also I like to use 2/0 for 6 inch worms also. I just noticed with the spin shot I have less line twist with it. Also with having one knot hold the weight and the hook, it seems to put a lot less stress on the knot. I don't have as many knots break as I used to have. Sometimes I will catch a little bit of slime on that extra wire that's on there, but the benefits outweigh the cons of it. Now here I am. I'm out on one of my favorite spots in the South Metro here. It's a sunken point with about 7 feet up top. There's some weeds, a little bit of coontail. And what it does, it slopes down to where I am on the boat to about 18 feet. And on the edge of them weeds are some chunk rock out there that fish like to hang out on, especially they'll school up on that chunk rock during the summer months. It's one of my favorite spots. I can go out there and catch fish whenever I feel like I need to. So, and with the drop shot that I like to do is cast it up top. And what I do is I cast it, let it sink to the bottom, and then I make sure that my line is tight, keep my rod tip high so that way I can keep that presentation about as vertical as I can. And what I do is I slowly lift up and just set it back down. I don't wiggle it too much. I just kind of lift it up, let it move a couple feet towards the boat, and set it right back down, keeping that line tight. Wiggling it doesn't, most of the time, sometimes that can trigger a bite, but most of the time just keeping that thing as still as possible. The advantages of the drop shot is the fact that it does put the worm and the bait right in front of their face. That way, because fish aren't necessarily always looking on the bottom, usually they're looking out, making sure they don't get eaten. So this way it puts it right in front of their face, keeps them where they are. Usually for worms, like I said, I use a 4 or 5 inch worm. Usually Zoom or Gambler, that usually is the best that we've noticed. Actually on this one you can see I actually cast it on out, and you can see when I lift with the rod I'm pulling out through the weeds. And I lift it up, set it back down. If it's really thick weeds, try to get that down into the weeds or right next to it. Now this I'll actually pull out. I'm almost to the edge of the weeds, and I'll drop it down, and right when I get to the edge of the weeds, there he was. Not the best hook set in the world. Usually I like to pull straight up so that way that hook goes straight up through the top of their mouth instead of out to the side. Because I'm using 8 and 10 pound line I usually try to take it easy, kind of finesse them in a little bit. Usually can't hog them in that easily, but usually once you get them hooked with that extra fast tip and having the backbone, you usually stay hooked. Usually when you do get them hooked, they don't come off. So like I said, I've really come to like the VMC spin shot hooks that they have. With the spin shot hook, I can rig it weedless and can pull it through the weeds. I rig it Texas style on the hook so that way the worm is actually sticking straight out, and it has that natural buoyancy where it kind of just stays straight out. With the Zoom and the Gamblers, they kind of sink down a little bit, but compared to some that really high float, like a Z-Man, floats too high up, or Big Bite Baits Squirrel Tail that just goes up too high. It doesn't stay out straight. And that's where the fish is when they're sitting out straight looking at them. Now this fish was a nice 4 pound. It was 19 and a quarter inches, I believe. Really nice, healthy fish. You can see me here. I got it hooked so good I'm having a little trouble getting it out of his mouth. But I'll put him on my Bass Pursuit scale that I make, and I believe, like I said, it's a good 19-inch fish. With the trough, it's really easy to measure. So hopefully this video helps you out a little bit. Like I said, just go slow, lift and set it down. That's what I like to do. It helps out a lot. Not only does it put good numbers in your boat, but also it can put some size in the boat also.